apple pie spice cinnamon to our apples. So we're gonna chill this pie crust when we put it in our pie dish for 30 minutes. And
do you have your pie dish ready?
Our apples. Mommy, you're jumping ahead.
Okay, I'll do that. That's pretty hard too.
I'm sorry, my finger is not.
I know,
really
that's why.
helping me. Actually, I love to eat them just like apples with spice on them. So one time I just made apples with spice and sugar on them and ate them because I just love apple pie spice on apples, which is kind of silly because.
Hey guys, welcome back to our kitchen. Merry Christmas. We are getting in the festive moods over here in the Strong family household. And today, Addelyn and I are going to make an apple pie.
Apple pie.
Oh, one
Actually,
of our
love apple
absolute
pies.
favorites. Addelyn makes an amazing crust, and we have had this crust in the fridge for a week, a little over a week now. So we really needed to make a pie with it. And so we wanted to, also have an abundance of apples because it is that time of year. That is the fruit that's in season. And so we want to make an apple pie, and it will be delicious after dinner tonight. We'll have some fresh whipped cream with it. And we just wanted to bring you along and show you how easy it is to make.
Yes.
So right now I'm just prepping my apples. I mean, a lot of times people will make a apple pie with Granny Smith apples or like a tart baking apple. Today we are making it with Fuji.
Which I did last time and I like them. I like making an apple pie with Fuji or Granny Smith. But we don't always have Granny Smith apple pie.
We have Honey Crisp right now and Fuji and Golden Delicious,
yes.
But we went with Fuji. Okay, so I am just giving these a rough chop, and so that we can get them tossed in their seasoning. Is that what we're going to do next? Are we going to toss these in their seasoning?
We're first going to roll this out because it chills. So I've had it sitting out just a bit so it can roll out easily. Just dust it with flour, roll it out, and let it chill for 30 minutes in my pie dish. And then we're going to dust these with seasoning because they're going to sit in their seasoning while the pie crust is chilling. And I have all my seasonings ready, so.
So why don't you dust this work surface? Well, no, that's fine. We'll do it here. Why don't you grab me something we can wipe off?
Yeah.
And since, honestly, Addelyn, since you already have your seasoning measured out, why don't we just sprinkle that on the apples so they can, since I'm still chopping, you can do that.
Yeah, I like to let them sit pretty long because they release their juices.
So tell me what the seasoning is and how much is it?
So I have 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a little over a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and then we've got probably 1/2 teaspoon of apple pie spice, which has all of those things in it.
I think it's more like a teaspoon.
A teaspoon?
Yeah.
Teaspoon of apple pie spice.
We will put this recipe today, we will put this recipe in the comments below. Sometimes a lot of our recipes are just cooked or baked with love and not so many measurements.
No. Then I'm just going to add a pinch of salt. And that's all salt. I have a 1/4 cup of sugar.
So I actually need to add these to this so that we can do the top as well.
So you have a couple options. Sometimes lemon juice kind of almost, I don't know, not saves the apples.
It actually, I'll tell you what lemon juice does. I'm really loving the way you're describing it. So lemon juice is actually acidic.
Yeah.
And so what it does is it stops the oxidation process, which turns them brown.
Yeah.
So oxidation, or the process of oxygen hitting the apple that no longer has the skin on it, will turn it brown. So to prevent that, we're gonna add a citrus like lemon juice. And actually it's what, when you buy things from the store and they're preserved with citric acid, it is a synthetic version of lemon juice. So
Yeah.
that is, so this is the real way to preserve something. Lemon juice. So.
And it also pairs with your apples. So
It
like
does.
you don't have a lemon flavor and you just use 2 tablespoons is how much I use. So it pairs with your apples. Especially if you're using Granny Smith, a tart apple, it's definitely going to pair with that. So you don't have lemon juice flavor, it just stops that. So I'm going to pour that. Now 3 tablespoons of flour that I'm going to add in last because I don't want it to become almost like a dough around the ones that have lemon juice and stuff.
Smart.
So I sprinkle that on last. I've always done that.
So Addelyn, I think I'm actually gonna do the baking with love. Only because we ended up seasoning the bottom.
Yeah.
This is that apple pie spice. I'm gonna add a little bit to the top.
And I'm just going to stir. It's quite a small bowl.
I think we just need to get a bigger bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, just a moment.
So this is around 3 pounds of apples. Now, roughly, so I measured them twice because I'm not particular. Even though I do experiment a lot, I still use measurements a lot. So even if I do an experiment, I keep my measurements.
Good job on the bowl.
So it's roughly 3 pounds, and I say that because our apples were not perfect. I cut out some spots and stuff. And I did add more since I cut out spots, so it's probably roughly 3 pounds, maybe a bit more.
If I could insert smell into the camera, I would.
That
It
would
smells so good.
Yeah, you need that would
It
be
smells
good.
like Christmas in the kitchen. It is just smelling delightful. Whoops, this one fell out of the bowl.
Okay, then let me toss out 3 out of the bowl.
Babe, come try these. Seriously.
This is usually how because I don't always use measurements for my seasonings.
The smallest one.
We just sprinkle it. That's what I usually do.
Can y'all smell that? I can't eat anymore.
Now we're gonna add our flour. And I do this in increments just so it doesn't get floury in one spot.
Oh, that's really smart.
So I stir a little bit,
So I'm
sprinkle
gonna
a
do
little
it
bit,
while you stir.
Yeah.
That way we can just work together as a team.
Sorry. And that way you don't have a
No, it's
bunch of flour on one apple because they are kind of wet with that stuff. And they start juicing normally for me when I add the apple pie spice and all that. So I don't want to get 1 apple full of flour. And there you go.
Okay,
It's
amazing.
perfect.
They look beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay. So we're gonna roll the pie crust out now. This is a French rolling pin. Absolutely my favorite rolling pin ever for making anything with dough.
The best rolling pin.
It's
And
not, doesn't have your typical spindles at the end. You can just hold
It's thinner.
hold these tapered ends. It's thinner. It allows you to roll and really get a feel of your dough, which is amazing. But what you're going to see Addelyn do once she rolls that pie crust out into a circle is we're going to roll it onto this in order to transfer it onto the pie dish. And it's just an amazing tool to be able to do that.
So I'm just going to flour this.
You want me to roll it
Probably, because
with your finger?
I usually use like all.
Why? So
Yeah,
might
so
need to add a bit of cold water.
when it's sitting in, because usually my dough is not this dry, but it's sat in that fridge for a lot longer. I usually make it. It's perfect. And then it's
We usually
just
use it
amazing.
within the
We
day or
use it-
two.
Yeah, I make it for that day.
It's okay.
We made it for Thanksgiving. but we ended up
So
not being able to make it.
As your butter softens,
See, now it's
through
lot
the
better.
warmth of the room temperature, it will start to be pliable and work with you. But that's also why you then have to chill it for 30 minutes, because you want that butter to then harden back up.
And when you put it in the oven, it's going to create a flaky pie dough. So if you don't want to put it in like with melty and not, and also if it gets too warm, it becomes very hard to work with. And that's also why you want to keep it well floured so that you
So we're going to flip this over, and that's actually perfect.
Perfect.
So
I'm
going to let you do this part. Addelyn is an amazing baker. It's okay.
Just
There you go.
and then I'm just gonna take it and fold it into the corners. Press it down just a bit. And then I fold it over the sides on purpose to make sure
That we're good.
that we're good. So it's roughly even. So with this, I usually touch it up because I like to crimp my pie crust. But we're not going to crimp it yet because we're going to put a top layer on this. So, I'm just going to keep doing that. So I'll just go around doing this and then I kind of level it out. I like to keep all the crusts. Some people, if you've got a big overlay or you don't like all that crust, some people cut it off. You can do that, but I like to keep it all, so I just kind of push it in. Unless it's like a lot of overhang, if I make a bigger dough than usual.
But this is about perfect.
But it's perfect. Perfect.
Okay, so the crust is going to be in the fridge for 30 minutes, which means we're going to go do something productive. See you soon.
Well, I thought we were going to get this on video. So I took the ends of this scrapped to make.
Okay, so we're going to make some lattice for the top of the pie. I gave Addie this really great lattice tool from Williams-Sonoma a couple Christmases ago. Funny, it was a Christmas present. How perfect. Now we're baking with it for Christmas.
Yeah, perfect. I didn't get why you were saying that actually until.
I could tell.
What I like about this form is you don't have uneven or half the size strips. Makes it a lot easier to make lattice.
Good
And
point. Very good point.
Some of them kind of stretch a bit when I take them out, but I just connect the ends and just measure them.
Very good.
Because every time I make lattice, it's always looking different.
Darin is snacking on dinner over there behind the camera.
So we have a fork, and I'm just going to poke rows slightly apart, like this, all over the pie crust. This prevents it from popping up, and it lets the air, because when it bakes, it actually works. You don't see how, really. But if you poke it, lets the air so you don't get air bubbles or your pie crust tends to pop up because there's no escape for your air.
Very good. Very good.
And I know that because it happened to me. It's very upsetting.
That's how you learn. You learn by failing. You learn by messing up. Oh, delicious. Okay.
Just do this.
Okay.
Our pie crust is a bit dry, guys. It's not normally this dry, like I said, but it's been sitting in that fridge.
It's good.
Now,
It's good.
filling part. My favorite part.
Your favorite part.
Of course. Besides eating it, of course, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
And it made just enough juice, thank you.
Thank you.
It made just enough juice because it's not too
We don't
juicy.
want it too sopping. It'll make your crust soggy.
and
You
not
don't want
work.
it too dry.
Because then you're not going to have like a nice, bubbly, juicy crust in the end. It does tend to make a bit more juice. Keep that in mind when it bakes because they get softer and they juice. But it's just enough juice, so I use all of that.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
It's quite full.
It's literally perfect. Perfect.
So delicious. Now, so with this, I'm going to just, you know what? I'm going to get a pastry brush. I'm just going to brush all around the edge.
Before we put lattice on?
Before we put lattice on.
That's going to help it glue?
This is the thing that glues it together.
Okay.
Anything, and we're going to brush the top with some too.
Okay, that's good. If this is your first time cooking with us, we want you to know that our only goal is that we inspire you to enjoy your family and do something at home fun that maybe you've never done or that you love doing.
So let's see, the first pie I made was...
Not as pretty as this?
No, it was definitely not as pretty as this. I was actually a bit frustrated with it, to be honest. It was definitely not as pretty as this. Well, I made my first pie crust when I was 6 years old. I had just turned 6 and I wanted to make my own pie crust because I had seen it. So I just put butter and flour and water in Cuisinart. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't do any measurements. It turned out pretty good. It didn't turn out perfect at all. It was nowhere near perfect. And I just kept doing it.
Well, I think we are going to
pie.
all be very excited to eat dessert tonight. We're going to pop this in the oven at 425 for how long?
25 minutes
25
for the
minutes.
first, and then I think you reduce it to around 300 and bake for another 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how golden you want your pie to be. Do you like our pie?
I snuck in the kitchen and then somebody came right behind me.
Cool.
Mama said we have to save this for breakfast, and I snuck in the kitchen, and here she was eating pie.
I said the kids
Madam, step away from the pie.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pull out my old school. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you taste will be used against you when the kids wake up. You have a right to a piece of pie because you baked it.
This is the best crust
Can you believe
I've ever had.
Addie made that crust? Oh, sorry guys, I'm yawning. Oh. That's not good for TV, is it? Forgive me.
For
folks.
TV, that's hilarious.